Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
We're going to talk about one of the most important people in the last 100 years in Ireland. He passed away there recently, and he was a fantastic human being, and nobody has a bad word to ever say about him, of course, and his name is John Hume.
That's right. John died there in the past few weeks at 83 years of age. He suffered in latter years from a touch of Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. He wouldn't be as au fait with events as he was. Now, John was under the care of very good religious sisters, for which his last years was made very comfortable and very good, and there was great appreciation by his wife and family for the treatment that he got. That's number one. Now, there has been articles written about John Hume, particularly in the Irish Catholic. I presume there was other articles in the daily papers but the ones that I looked at was in the Irish Catholic, and various good ones, and one particularly by Nuala O'Lawn. She's Dame Nuala O'Lawn. She was, I think, an ombudsman in the north, and a Catholic, one of the only ones, and a great speaker, and a great speaker for what's good and true. She was a voice for the people that have no voice, and she was great. She's written a great article about finding courage to do the right thing. That was John Hume. First thing he did for the local community was instrumental in starting a credit union in Derry. Now, we call it Derry, but if you come across any of the unionists, they referred to Londonderry. Now, it's as much like London as Ballydehob is like Broadway. But they will stick to this narrative, and this is one of the problems that John Hume had to contend with. Catholics at the time and nationalists were quite discriminated against, and there was a thing called gerrymandering. In other words, where there might be a majority of Catholics in constituency, it was engineered in such a way as the Unionists got elected, not the nationalists. Now, so John Hume, and they couldn't get finance, so he was instrumental with other people of like mind in starting the Derry Credit Union, the first in the north of Ireland. And it got funds. People put funds into it, and people were able to borrow money, which they couldn't get from any other place, at decent normal interest. It was a great success and sprung up everywhere else in the north of Ireland to give people a chance to be able to borrow money for the sort of essential things that they couldn't borrow for before. It put a lot of them on their feet. It encouraged mothers and fathers to try and help their children to get a good education. And then when the universal education came in, the nationalists and Catholics particularly benefited from that, and John Hume was one of them. So if it wasn't for John Hume and the Civil Rights March, it got world attention, and they were attacked so brutally, not alone by the police in the north, but by bigoted orange men and extreme Protestants, in which they were pelted with stones and rocks. They suffered injuries, and the police battened them. They were peaceful. So it got world attention from this. It opened the north to the world, to the dismay of Britain and the people in charge in the north, the unionists that held sway and did what they liked. A fellow called Bill Craig was the Home Secretary, and he was a very evil man from the point of view of what he put in the way of difficulties for Catholics and Christians, that they couldn't have a meeting, this type of thing. And people, when houses were given out by the state, by the local authorities, Catholics with families were discriminated against, and you could find a person that was single, that was from the unionist population, getting a house in favour of a family. So this type of thing. So John Hume was elected to the Stormont. He started. He got on the world stage. He got the freedom of, think of about 25 to 30 cities. He got doctorates from about 40 to 50 universities, honorary doctorships. He was an MP in the local assembly. He started the SDLP, the Socialist Democratic Labour Party. There was great men in that, Seamus Mallon, and great men. And he then got into the Westminster Parliament. And he went to the US and got the support of Ted Kennedy, Tip O'Neill, who had he was a majority leader in the Senate or the Congress, and various other Irishmen. Moynihan, Dan Moynihan was a senator, what they called the Four Horsemen they were called. And he got support worldwide, so that this eventually led to the peace agreement. He sacrificed his career to bring the people from the nationalist side, the IRA and Sinn Féin, that was orchestrating this what they call the Troubles, and where there was over 3,000 people killed in Northern Ireland, and thousands injured. It was a terrible place. So he sacrificed his life, and he was criticised by the media here, by the way, a lot of the time. He didn't have the support that they have now. Funny enough, somebody said that they write very well about you when you're dead and crucify you when you're alive. Anyway, John brought, because of his policies, because of the world effort that he did, he brought peace to the world. To Northern Ireland. It was a beacon of hope, and funny enough, it was facilitated by our marvellous Taoiseach at the time, Albert Reynolds. He also was very instrumental in bringing the extremists on the unionist side down for private meetings in Dublin in the Jewish Hotel, believe it or not. So he was instrumental, although Bertie Ahern got great credit with Tony Blair for bringing it to fruition, which he did. So that was John, and his death has been regretted. And there was one item that that I'll just read, if I may, about John. And it was, with the passing of John Hume, we have probably said goodbye to the last example of what it takes to be an authentically Catholic politician. His over 40 years of service had at its centre justice and dignity, framed in values of the gospel and executed in the finest political points of Catholic social justice. So once again, it was sad to witness that those who have lamentably failed by their advocacy and pushing for the culture of death in recent times to mirror Hume's legacy showed their contempt so to his memory by their sacrilegious communions at the Requiem Mass and offering a pretense of being faithful members with the reflective signs of the cross and meditations. These hands that had received the Holy Sacrament were the same hands that no doubt punched the air and clapped with recent referenda results and the Westminster usurpation of the notorious abortion law. This funeral was not just a requiem for a life lived in the truth and light of the gospel, but it was equally the final extension of any pretext that constitutional nationalism has any links to the catechism of John Hume. That was the effective compass to its greatness in this world and its eternal happiness, hopefully in the next. Father, may his good soul rest in peace. Father John McCallum, MPhil, Coal Island, County Tyrone.
Can I just take some water there, John? Let's take a break for a second.
So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, he was an amazing human being. His achievements were spectacular.
For one man, but it shows you what one man could do. The same as certain people, good people throughout the world have done the same. And I think they're doing it now in Hungary and Poland with what they're standing up for.
Absolutely, but such people, unfortunately, are few and far between.
Extraordinary that it is, but there are people of that calibre about, and hopefully they'll come forward.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.